Chapter 1. An invitation. The dance of dreams, a shadow play of horror, murder, and revenge. Let yourself be enraptured and terrified by a shadow theater with clockwork as amazing as that of Master's construction on the continent. Watch as evil smiles, good people go to their doom, and spirits come to life. Follow Oscar Hjort's encounter with the Black One, his struggle, and finally the betrayal which claimed his life. Hear the tunes of the enchanted flute that sends souls dancing to hell. The show will premiere shortly at the Witch Cat Inn, not for the faint of heart. On the note, someone has written in a sharp, scrawling cursive, "Meet me tonight at the Witch Cat Inn, Olaus." You four are members of the society. Each of you has been gifted with the sight, an ability to see Vaesen, the fey, ghostly creatures that inhabit this world. And as we set out onto this adventure, I want to have each of us to have an opportunity to introduce our characters more richly, give us a detailed description of it, and tell me what you've done in preparation for your arrival at the Witch Cat Inn. And I will go ahead and start with Deb.
Great. Penny is a middle-aged woman. She's a little on the plump side. She's got some graying hair. She looks fashionable, but you can tell that her fashion is a bit out of date. She went to France on a book tour when her first book was published and thinks that is still the height of fashion. So she has not quite kept up with the times. Her hands are quite stained with black ink as she is writing all the time. She's got some kind of notebooks and things shoved into her pockets, and she's sort of constantly scribbling little notes down and things like that. She went to chat with some people that she knows through the society. She is a little bit aware of the witch cat from some things in her past, but she is just kind of checking in on what's been happening. She hasn't done too much in the recent history kind of with the society, and so she's just sort of ducking back into it and is constantly looking for fodder for her next book. And so she feels that this might be the opportunity for her to get some ideas and plot lines for her hopefully next big success.
Excellent. Big shout out to Miko, the Okayus GM, for the gift of both bits and subs. Thank you so much, Miko. We love you.
Thank you, Miko.
Yeah. Thanks, yeah. Next up, Officer Kensington. What's going on in your world?
So Officer Kensington, I imagine, is like taking some luggage out of a carriage of some fashion, and is pretty well put together. He has a big, like a nice, beautiful mustache that he's often like stroking or sometimes tugging at out of an anxious kind of habit. He got this note from Olaus. And it's not super unusual. This is sometimes how he gets his tips on different seances and stuff that are going on that are almost definitely hokey. There's very rarely anything actually that I need to use the site for. So this is he's not very hurried. It's a regular routine. And Olaus would be appreciative that I stopped heading to, this local city for my show, and I decided to come help him instead. So
excellent. Per Hulin. I don't know. Hulin.
Per Hulin. Per Hulin is a priest, slightly young perhaps compared to some of the other priests in such remote regions. and he is very well coiffed, very well bearded. He wears a little emerald scarf around his neck at all times. This is, some people surmise, a scarf that was given to him by perhaps a former lover, someone who's very, very important to him, and that this was their favorite color. And so he has adopted this little green scarf, this affectation that he wears everywhere he goes with him. And I think in order to prepare himself for this particular journey, being a very fastidious man and always wanting to be ready for anything, he would have taken extra care and time in preparing his little black bag that he's got, that he carries with him, that's got all his priestly stuff in there that he might need for, you never know when you need a sudden benediction or a sudden pardon or a sudden exorcism, or a staking. Maybe there's a vampire or something. So he's got like a little black kit with all his good stuff. He would have gone through his Bible and selected certain passages that he felt perhaps might be best suited to heartening his companions or keeping evil at bay, and he's earmarked these with these little green slips of paper that he's cut up just so, and that stick out of his little Bible. And along with his Bible, he's got another little book that's strapped to it with this leather strap, and this book comes with a little pen, and in there he takes notations on all the different creatures and whatnot that he encounters. Father Hewlin is very interested in the connection between the world of faith and these older creatures, these older faiths, the fae and trolls and things of that nature, and he fervently believes that the two should be able to coexist. So he takes all the notes to try and find like points of connection or commonalities and whatnot in order to put forth this thesis he has, that the world of faith should be able to live with the world of the supernatural and of the folk tales. And so he would have probably spent a lot of time on the trip over here working on this book and kind of scratching away. And occasionally, perhaps when he thinks he's not being observed, stealing little glances at Anders once in a while, just very kind of shyly, modestly, very modest, very demure, and looking away as soon as someone might catch him doing so.
And history would say that they were indeed very good friends, roommates even.
Not mean
which brings
anything.
us, which could mean nothing. Which brings us to our very own Anders Falk, played by Beth.
Yes, I am playing Dr. Anders Falk. He is an occultist. He is tall and kind of lanky. He's in his mid-30s. Green eyes, brown hair. He's got like really great chops. He is rather obsessed with Vaesen, and he'd love to sort of bridge the gap between the natural human world and the world of Vaesen. He has spent a lot of time studying the mysticism therein, and because of his enthusiasm, let's say, for taking in all of the information about Vaesen that he can, he has become a bit of a pariah. Because he has an advanced degree, he's been allowed into a lot of I would say like social circles, as well as libraries that he should not have been allowed in, given how manic he is. So he, yes, Kay, he's a freak, definitely a freak. But yeah, he's got a very intense interest, and you can see it in his eyes when he talks about it. And I can't say whether or not he's noticed the subtle glances of a certain priest, but we'll just have to see.
I love a storyline involving priests being naughty. Especially with the occultist. Oh, en français, tout le monde. You all find yourselves in Uppsala, which is where you live. It's where the society house is. You've received this invitation. It is a printed flyer with the scrawl at the bottom. And you all load up the carriages, and after having done various bits of research or things that you've done on your way to prepare for this adventure. Some of you know maybe a bit about the Witch Cat Inn, which at some point I'm going to call the Witchlight Inn. Feel free to correct me. And some of you know of the surrounding area. It is near Sigtuna. It is just south of Uppsala. And it's fall when you leave in a coach heading south. And there's a terrible storm raging. Black clouds blanket the sky with the wind howling and rain and hail pouring down, leaving you soaked to the skin. Lightning cracks across the sky and thunder makes the horses rear and whinny, but the coachman drives them on. The journey takes 3.5 hours and the storm grows increasingly violent as you progress. Through the coach window, you see Lake Malar in the west, foaming waves splashing against its shoreline. Traveling through the pine forest, you see tall trees being knocked to the ground by tempestuous winds or split by lightning strikes. In the flashes of light, you see large rocks among the trees, moss-covered lumps staring back at you. Suddenly, the Witch Cat Inn appears at a T-junction surrounded by woods, with Lake Malar to the north and west. It seems to be the only building around, and the coachman is eager to drop you off and continue on his route south to Sigtuna. Halfway between the inn and the small community in the distance, you do see a lonely church tower protruding from the trees. Welcome to the Witch Cat Inn. As you all step out, your boots squelch in the mud. You're covering yourselves as best you can from the rain, and you make your way up the front porch steps, where you see a man waiting for you. He is older, grizzled looking, with kind of a fuller white beard, and he's smoking a cigarette, and he is waiting for you, standing outside.
I have a question, storyteller.
I might have an answer, oh god.
Usually when we, at the beginning of a Vaesen game, when the players give their little, what's said about themselves and what they've been doing, this grants them an advantage to use later in the game. Can we assume
Correct.
that we have a troll tooth? An extra troll tooth?
Yes, correct.
Excellent.
You all have a troll tooth. And when you would like to implement said advantage, let me know, and let me know what it was that you had done during that kind of preemptive prep time that I was alluding to gain this advantage. That could be if you are an expert marksman, perhaps you are polishing and cleaning your weapon. Perhaps you did some research in the library. Perhaps you talked to someone. So just let me know what it might be. And as you make your way up the steps, you take in the Witch Cat, small, sort of unassuming building out here in the middle of the woods. You notice that there are one of the steps is broken, and you have to kind of step up and over it. It looks a bit worse for wear, and you see this older man standing outside smoking a cigarette.
As we disembark, I will help Penny down from the stagecoach, and I will say, well, Penny, this place certainly does have the feel of one of your more salacious novels. Perhaps you'll find the inspiration you've been looking for here.
Oh, we can only hope. I've been looking for inspiration for many years, and I'm still searching for my next big thing, so maybe this is finally the time.
I certainly hope so. You are definitely due for a little bit of a bolt from the muse, I would say, and I myself look forward to reading your next opus. The last one left me positively shivering in the dark.
I have some thoughts and plans for this next one, and I can guarantee that you will find this one even better than the last.
Those are bold words. And we'll help Penny down, and as the others disembark, will be anyone the man we were here to see, what was his name again? Anyone remember? I think I have it here somewhere, and I started going through my notes.
You see the man standing on the porch, staring out, going, "Are you going to continue standing in the rain?"
Come on, Father, let's go. Anders will just start clumping his way over through the mud.
Yes, of course. Yeah. You're right, Anders. No use standing in this mud. Colonel, how is it that you managed to keep your boots free of mud, even in such an environment as that?
I put a preventative serum on them, so it kind of wicks away the mud. It's not regulation by any means, but it works.
You must tell me what your source is, because I, as you can see, have quite soiled my boots.
Oh, I'll share some with you. Well, let's get inside first.
We'll climb up to the front porch.
Welcome.
Oh, good day, sir. I am Father Per Hewlin. These are my associates, Mr. Falk, Mr. Kensington, and I forget Penny's...
Hemsk.
And Miss Hemsk, famous writer. You might recognize the name, Penny Hemsk.
Ah, yes. Very nice to meet you, Miss Hemsk.
Just for clarification's sake, it's Dr. Falk. Just
I'm terribly sorry.
Get out there. Yep.
Terribly sorry, Anders.
Quite all right.
What is your field of study, Dr. Falk?
Vaesen.
Or you went to school for it, I see.
Yes, I suppose you could say that. They're fascinating, aren't they?
Quite. I agree with you.
Could we have the benefit of your name, sir?
Yes, Clint Olaus. I'm the one who sent for you.
Ah, excellent. What a fortuitous turn of event to have found you so readily.
Well, I was waiting for you. And he flicks his cigarette out into the mud, and you hear it out there. Thank you so much, Varl. You all got some bits.
Varl, thanks for the troll toofs.
Bits. We got some troll toofs.
Troll toofs. Hey, Aaron, thanks for coming in.
Yes, indeed. Hello, Aaron. Hello, Miri.
Oh, Myriad's here. Hello, Myriad.
Yeah, Myriad's here.
Oh, I didn't see Myriad. Hi, Myriad.
As he flicks his cigarette, he says, I imagine it's been quite a journey for you. Well, I'll brief you for a moment out here, and then we can have a moment to step inside to the inn. Now, this flyer that I sent you, and he unfurls one from his pocket. It seems that this has been distributed in and around Uppsala. Now, folks have seen this flyer come here, and, well, some strange things have begun in their time staying at the inn.
I think we never made portrait for the flyer. Could you give us a description of the flyer?
Yes, the initial invitation that I had read to you, that is to the Dance of Dreams, a shadow play of horror, murder, and revenge. Yes, that is the flyer to which he is referring.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we had a visual for that. Dropped it somewhere.
You are fine. Do not stress.
During the edging.
And you see Olaus pull out another cigarette and light it, and
I'll move to light his cigarette for him, Sir Olaus. I assumed initially when I received your letter that this was pretty standard routine, that it was most likely a false alarm, but I'm seeing a few of my associates here. You know, we all received the call. Is this something more serious?
Well, I believe that, yes, I believe it could be something more serious. I think that, well, it's certainly not something I feel comfortable tackling on my own. I visited the inn a few days ago, you see, and I had felt a presence that had frightened me, and that is the reason why I asked for your help.
May we speak candidly?
But of course, I would hope that you would.
I am given to believe that some years ago this inn was used as a gathering place for members of the society, that it was, at the time, owned and operated by someone who, like us, was one of Thursday's children. Iri Harhula
Yes, indeed.
is...
Yes.
Sorry.
Please continue.
I was just wondering if, well, if this was still the case, is there still some of our people here, or has that fallen by the wayside?
I do believe it has fallen by the wayside a bit. You see, Puri is no longer alive. It is his grandson who owns and operates the inn here. His name is Sammy. He's inside. I will say that he is not the most friendly of chaps, but...
Well, I guess perhaps the best thing we could do is move inside where it's warmer and drier, and you could recount to us exactly what did happen to you and how we may be of assistance.
Indeed. Very well. Let us go inside. Bleakseason, go ahead and make an observation check for me.
Oh no,
Oh yes, first roll of the game. No pressure.
none whatsoever. A second, putting some music on. You caught me mid-action. Observation. So there'd be empathy of 5, so that's 5 dice, plus 3 from my observation scale, as this happens to be
Oof.
kind of my bread and butter. You know, when you're a priest, it was good to be able to tell when the parishioners are lying to you or hiding things from you. And I have 1 success.
One success. That's all you need, really. Olaus seems quite nervous to you. He's a pretty stony-faced person, but you do suspect that he's a bit scared. This inn, sort of in the middle of nowhere, should be a bit of a non-issue, not a major case. This isn't seemingly something that is threatening a larger civilization, and yet he's here and he's calling in you all, which are ostensibly the big guns. You also get the sense that he's might be hiding something, may not be as forthcoming, but you follow along inside.
I'll, as we step in, I will simply kind of hang back a little bit, and I'll tell my companions, for what it's worth, I feel that Mr. Olaus is quite shaken by whatever events have occurred here. It may behoove us to pay close attention to what he will tell us.
Do we think he's overreacting? Can't tell you.
I'm a fairly good judge of character normally, and he seems to be a fairly sturdy sort. I would assume that he doesn't frighten very easily. But you, Captain, perhaps as a military man, have a better idea of what a man's breaking point may be. Perhaps you might pay close attention to our friend here during the discussion and see if there's anything to be sussed out.
You're all such negative Nancys. This is exciting, don't you think? I mean, there's stuff to be discovered here.
You are
maybe there's some
entirely
concern.
correct, Dr. Folk. I am truly looking forward to this case.
It should be fun. Perhaps also terrible and deadly, but it's rather fun.
Well, I'm glad you're all taking it in such a chipper fashion. Shall we? Hey, Word Fangirl. Thanks for dropping in.
Any word. You step inside, and you are all soaked to the bone. Even just the brief stepping out of the carriage and getting up the steps, it's just torrential downpour. And you step inside, and at first it feels as though the inn is a sort of salvation from this weather. But upon looking around, you notice that the ceiling leaks a little bit. It seems as though that this place might be in a bit of disrepair. However, you are hearing a crackling fire. There are oil lamps lit all about. You're catching bits and pieces of song and laughter. You're smelling a hot meal. You're hearing the clinking of glasses. It seems as though upon kind of taking a greater assessment of this, the leaky ceiling appears to be due to disrepair rather than the intensity or the extreme nature of the storm. You're noticing that the wind is kind of howling and cutting through the building. You get the sense that this place has been here for a while, but seems to have fallen in quite into disrepair over the last several years.
Can I, as we come in, kind of take stock of the people? Are there people? There are a few people in the inn, I would assume?
Yes, indeed. You see a gruff-looking older man who is kind of standing behind the bar, polishing glasses, and he's got a furrowed brow. He looks as though he might be the owner, Sammy, to which Olaus had been referring. You also see in the corner is an older-looking priest who's sat at a table close to the fire, kind of huddled over a bowl of soup, and he's got a book out that he's kind of perusing while he eats. There are a couple other people in here. There's a young woman who looks a bit worse for wear. She looks a bit sickly. She's a bit pale, gaunt, sort of sweaty. And there is the cook who's kind of intermittently going in and out of the space, as well as you see that there's a young girl who kind of darts behind the bar every now and then.
Any of them appear to be more than they seem? Like, I'm trying to kind of get a gauge if there is a history here of there is children being here and so on and so forth. I'm kind of trying to get a gauge to see if, like, you know, any of them would set off the old spidey sense or something like that. I will say that I have a skill called Sixth Sense. Make an investigation test. You may spend extra success to learn if a Vaesen has been in the area. Gain more or less vague impression of what kind of Vaesen is and find out if magic has been used. So I would like to maybe do that here, as I kind of take stock of the place and whatnot. And I don't mean to say the area like the entire village and whatnot, but I would say like inside this building maybe.
Yep, go ahead.
All right, my investigation is very low. So I'm going to take one of my troll tooths from earlier. I'll take the one that was gifted to us. And get 1/6.
You get 1/6. You are getting a ping. You are getting the sense that maybe the rapid deterioration of this inn was pretty rapid. That it has been... It seems a level of disrepair that it's kind of like plugging the hole in the dam, right? As soon as you plugged it, you're running and trying to rectify, you know, as these things are starting to fall apart at a rapid rate. And you understand that to be the work of something supernatural.
Okay. As we grab seats, I will whisper to my companions, I don't mean to alarm anyone, but the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up, and that's usually a sign that something old and perhaps supernatural has been about. I'm not saying they're here now, but simply that I feel that some of the deterioration in the state of this place might be due to the presence of something unnatural.
How thrilling.
As he was looking around, I think Penny would go to the bar and talk to the gruff-looking bartender and just say, hello, my friend. We are, as you can see, come in from the rain, and I wonder if you have just a bit of sherry or port or something that might warm us from the inside.
Sure. All right. And he pulls out a couple of dusty-looking glasses and a bottle of dusty-looking port, and then he just, like, very firmly with one hand in one go uncorks. This guy's got the hands the size of dustbin lids, and he starts pouring it out, 4 of them, and puts it down.
I'll slip a coin onto the counter and pay fairly generously, seeing that this place is in some disrepair, and take the glasses over to the table and pass them around.
Thank you very much.
Just a bit of cheer on this dark day.
Dr. Falk will gladly take the glass, and as he does, he'll take a sip for himself, and then you see him dip his pinky finger into the port. He opens up the front of his coat, and you see him just sort of put his finger in, and someone sitting on the side of him might be able to see that he is giving a drop of this port to a very tiny little bat that lives inside of his coat, close to his chest. And then once given, he'll just sort of, close it back up again and carry on.
Have we seen this creature before?
As this happens, you hear a little, almost imperceptible. It could have been a creaking floorboard, but I feel like perhaps Pear has seen this.
Yep.
I don't know who else might have seen it, or Beth, I'll defer to you on that.
He doesn't hide Echo, but not in this company, at least. I think Pear would definitely know. He doesn't really talk much about him, but you'd see he'll give him bits and bobs. So I think our group would know that he exists.
Always a bit of a shock when I remember Echo's here. Sorry, is it Ms. Hemsk? Miss Hemsk? Mrs. Hemsk? Is there a Mr. Hemsk?
Ms. There has never been a Mr. Ms. is fine. Or Penny. We're friends. You may call me Penny.
All right, Ms. Hemsk. Let's. Are you ready to question this man?
I believe so. Yes.
Who is this man?
Rebecca. Sorry, ruining the tone of the game.
Olaus.
You would like to chat with Olaus. Yes. You all sit around the table and you see him kind of sit with his face, his chin on his hands. Well, where to begin? He looks over at you, Hewlin, and says, "Do you sense it? Something here."
I do. There's something in the air that is setting me on edge a little bit, must admit.
I agree wholeheartedly. Now, I've spent a little bit of time attempting to talk to the peers over his shoulder and turns back and says, locals. But some of them are not as forthcoming. Perhaps it would be better if one of you decided to do a little reconnaissance as well.
Is there anyone in particular you feel we should talk to?
had heard that Father Clarid, just behind us there, don't look now. That Father, yes, Father Ulin, which I'm gonna fuck up every time. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
As you whip around and he kind of like grabs your leg and just.
Sorry.
Father Clarid, he comes here from just outside of Sigtuna. He is he runs the church just down the way there. I believe that he might have some insight. I don't know that you'd get a whole lot out of Sami or, well, maybe his daughter Sophia would be worth talking to as well.
Do I know Father Clarid?
You would have heard of him. Sigtuna is not that far away from you and your connection with the rest of the clergy. You would have heard of him. You know that he's the head of the church down this way, and that he probably pops in from time to time to visit and have a warm meal and perhaps spread the good word.
If I may, Olaus, before we venture forth and discuss with the others, what is it exactly that's got you so on? What have you seen? What is it that you experienced? What did you... You will need to speak up a little bit. You are muted.
I was stunned into silence.
My handsomeness as often does that to parishioners.
Well, I've only spent a couple of days here, and as I mentioned, I felt a presence in a sort of evil, as it were. But also, I've spoken to a couple of passing travelers that said that they'd had some very strange dreams while here. Beyond just waking up in a place that is not your own bed. Dark dreams. Yes, officer.
Like sleepwalking?
No reports of sleepwalking, but dark, twisted dreams. Oftentimes involving being the lead in a play. Oddly enough.
What a nightmare.
Yes, some of us indeed. I myself have quite a bit of stage fright.
There's no such theaters here in town, is there?
Not that I know of, although this flyer talks of a theatrical production of some kind.
Would you mind if I see the flyer again, please?
But of course, he slides it across.
Would you mind, Caito, rereading it? Since I don't
Sure, it's almost as if I should have given you a handout.
You probably did at some point, and it just fell through the cracks in between the two.
Don't worry about it, you're the best. The Dance of Dreams, a shadow play of horror, murder, and revenge. Let yourself be enraptured and terrified by shadow theater with clockwork as amazing as that of the master's construction on the continent. Watch as evil smiles, good people go to their doom, and spirits come to life. Follow Oscar Hjort's encounter with the Black One, his struggle, and finally the betrayal which claimed his life. Hear the tunes of the enchanted flute that sent souls dancing into hell. The show will premiere shortly at the Witch Cat Inn, not for the faint of heart.
I surmise that there's no such show planned.
Well, that's the very thing, isn't it? I am not entirely sure.
We should ask the innkeeper if he plans to have this show. Do you know this person that is mentioned here, Oscar Hjort?
I can't say that I do.
Oh.
Sounds like a character of some kind.
Those who have been dreaming, is it simply those who have stayed in this particular inn, or is this the center of a radius, as it were?
No, it seems particularly fixated on the inn.
Very curious.
Olaus, have you slept here? Have you experienced the play?
I have not experienced the plague, no, but I have slept here and experienced strange dreams myself.
If it is not too forward of me, what precisely were the content of your dreams? Just being the lead in this play, or was there more?
I had a dream that I was a much younger man, leading in this play. I found myself stood upon a stage, a vast, dark stage with a singular spotlight. I was in odd clothing, sort of Renaissance sort of feeling to it. I'm quite old. And as I peered down at the cuffs of my dress, I noticed that the pale yellow color of my shirt, from the wrists downwards, it seemed to start growing with a dark red, blood-like substance just seeping along the cuffs, like veins creeping their way up. And as I watched in horror as this blood crept its way up all the way to my shoulder, closing in on my neck, I heard in my ear, "Break a leg," before I was shoved hard off the edge of the stage. I awoke with a start. Odd. I myself am not a performer. Again, I find the fact that I just appeared on stage by myself to an empty theater, presumably, nerve-wracking enough. But to be so violently attacked in my dream as well was disconcerting.
Did the voice have any meaning? Oh, sorry. Did you recognize the voice at all? Is it your father, or?
No. It was sort of a deep growling voice. And granted, it's certainly understandable that one can have nightmares, and they wouldn't necessarily be the work of Vaesen, but I just have a distinct feeling that this dream perhaps is linked to having stayed here.
How long ago was your stay here?
I've been here the past 2 nights.
And you've dreamed both nights?
Yes, I don't really recall the other ones, but that one stuck with me. It's stuck with me for quite some time. I keep revisiting it.
What effects have carried over into your waking days? Has anyone experienced anything outside of these dreams?
I don't believe so, but I have not been, as forthcoming with talking to some of the locals and getting as much information as I can out of them, so that's certainly why I had asked you all to be here. You are the experts.
Well, it certainly seems as if something strange is happening. If you don't mind, perhaps my companions and I could consult each other for a few moments before we take on the inhabitants of this little village. For the record, I've been here myself a few times and have never experienced such dreams or such strangeness. It must be fairly new.
So for story clarification, the Witch Cat exists outside of the village of Sigtuna. It is kind of a standalone building. In between the Witch Cat, out kind of here in this rural area, is the church, which is most likely the place that you would have stayed. And then there's Sigtuna, the village itself. So you likely would not have stayed at the Witch Cat Inn. You probably would have taken up a bunk somewhere in the rectory or maybe somewhere.
All right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm rereading the sentence you gave me here.
Sure. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, so I'll say that. If you don't mind, perhaps we could have a moment to put our heads together as well.
But of course, I'll leave you to it. And you hear him kind of the scraping of wood on wood floor, and he stands up, and you see him go to the bar and lean in to the large, gruff-looking proprietor. Thanks, Pixie Lady. Just in case the production gets out of hand, you all have gotten another troll tooth.
Thank you, Andrea.
You're just collecting troll tooths to make a weird necklace.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. You see Olaus talking to Sami there, and he kind of points over his shoulder, and you see him doing it. He's not being inconspicuous about it. He's looking over his shoulder and pointing, and you're getting the sense that maybe he's having a conversation about accommodation for the evening. But I leave the table to you all.
Isn't this exciting?
It's
just a few dreams. I mean, there's certainly a lot to learn here, but I don't believe I've ever come across a creature that influences dreams. So this is very exciting.
Have we? Have I or anybody else, have we encountered such notions of a creature that influences dreams?
Let's have you roll for it. Since you have this kind of collection of Vaesen, I would say that probably Anders would have some influence in this, so if you wanted to collaborate and do a help roll.
Learning, I think, would probably be the skill.
Yeah, a learning roll.
Yeah.
So that would be, if I pull up all of my myriad, wink, things. So yes, a learning. So it'd be learning plus logic, and I would defer to either Beth or Bleak, who would like to make the roll, and you can take an advantage on that because you're helping. So you get an additional d6 on it.
I think perhaps Anders would be better suited to make the roll, or
sure,
and I will assist
absolutely.
you, so you can take 2 dice from me.
Absolutely wonderful. Hang on just a moment.
Get a room.
Gross, you work together? Ew.
Nope.
Thanks, Kay, for the for the handouts.
Thank you, Kay.
I went looking for them. I looked in like the 3 different channels that we had before I couldn't find them.
It's in the PowerPoint.
Oh.
FYI, everyone watching at home, I created an entire PowerPoint for the players.
It's available for the modest sum of 7 troll tooths.
I got 2 6s.
2 6s. Excellent. You do know that there are a few Vaesen who could likely influence dreams. You also have an understanding that, let me make sure I'm not telling you this information. You also have an understanding that an entire area or there could be sort of an area of effect, for lack of a better way of describing it, that can happen when a Vaesen is there that has some sort of penchant towards like hatred or revenge, or where something happened to kind of disrupt this creature's realm, and that can overarchingly influence and permeate the area surrounding it, for a way of describing it. That there is sort of this sense of like the waking hours, maybe not so much, but that that kind of liminal space between wake and sleep can really be influenced by the events that may have led to this Vaesen being in this area or creating this Vaesen, things like that. Yes. Trying to think what else I can give you without giving too much away. You also know that you are skilled with 2 successes. I would certainly say that you are skilled enough to know most Vaesen are going to be as invisible as they can. That they are not really ones to put themselves in the line of danger, that they are going to use their power to influence more so than kind of direct head-on combat. So this whole inn feels as though it's encompassed in kind of the sphere of this influence of this Vaesen.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Oh, Penny, I do believe you will have quite a lot to use from this experience. I guess there are some Vaesen that can influence one's dreams. Generally speaking, it has to do with not so positive feelings, revenge, hatred, things that people love to read about.
Indeed. The best stories.
Well then, I guess we have our work cut out for us. Shall we spread out then and ask some questions of the locals? Perhaps Dr. Falk and I could speak to the priest, and perhaps the colonel and Penny would like to speak to the innkeeper or his daughter Sophia, perhaps, to try and see if there are any plans for this actual shadow play thing to occur.
That sounds great.
Wonderful.
Miss Hemsk?
Excellent. In that case, we will... Oh my god. Damn it, Bleak. In that case, following this through line, now that we have a little bit of insight into this Vaesen, let us first follow Dr. Falk and the good father as they go forth to talk to kiss in a broom closet. Yes.
As we head over, very impressed by your recall of this information about Vaesen who haunt people's dreams. I'm always, well, I wouldn't say surprised, but the breadth of your knowledge and the depth of your wisdom are always, how can I say, a very beautiful thing to watch unfold before one's eye. Dr. Falk.
Thank you. I mean, it's what I've studied. I wouldn't say that I have any more knowledge than anyone else who maybe studies the same thing. I do, however, have a lot more enthusiasm than others, so perhaps it is my personal interest that makes me so knowledgeable.
But if I may, what exactly does excite you so much about these creatures and these situations we find ourselves in? I find that quite often when fear sticks to my skin like a clammy sweat, that you become more and more excited by the prospect of encountering whatever it is that is haunting a certain place. So what is it that drives this curiosity and this excitement?
Better question would be, what isn't it? I feel like they're just utterly fascinating. Since I was a young boy, we've told stories of Vaesen, and they were just folk tales, at least in my village, but I have learned to believe in them. I had a bit of an experience myself, as we tend to, and since then I've made it my hobby, I would say, and then my job. But I don't suppose I'm the only one who is interested in this. I mean, you've taken on this role.
I have, but to be perfectly frank, it is not the creatures themselves, and certainly not the prospect of encountering one, that excites me. Rather, I take a very, how should I say, academic approach to it. I think that perhaps we try too hard to separate the world of faith from the world of the supernatural, and in some ways I think the two perhaps are linked, because what are these creatures if not the gods of old? If these stories that are told and are still whispered in the older parts of the country hold such wisdom and such a tie to the people who tell them, are they not in fact very similar to the stories that we tell in church? believe that there should be a way for the two to coexist. Now, this does not mean that I am in any way, shape, or form interested in meeting these things. You understand? My interest is merely intellectual. But you are a man of science, are you not? How do you come to even find an interest in these things, which are clearly born completely outside of the realm of science?
I think that's just it, isn't it? You have the theoretical, and you have these ideas based on our feelings and our beliefs, and then you see them come to life. I mean, in what science beyond just having ideas and learning and then proving it all correct, right? I feel like I've spent a lot of time studying, and I do appreciate your unique perspective here, talking about a bit more of the philosophy of it all. It is all very important, but they exist in our world, and I know that they tend to cause a little bit of trouble, but I think that there's a way that we can all coexist. Perhaps not every Vaesen and every person, but it would be interesting, wouldn't it?
It definitely would, and I'm glad to see that we are of similar minds on this particular subject matter. I think that perhaps the only difference between your point of view and mine, and it is not an irreconcilable difference, it is merely a slight deviation, I would say, is that while you seek to explain, to understand, I believe we should merely experience that these creatures are the work of God, much as the stream and the trees and the leaves and the wind that blows through them and the beautiful sounds that they make, and that we should not try to understand this mystery. We should not try to explain it away, but rather simply experience it. And perhaps if we did a bit less poking and prodding of these creatures, we might find them to be more amicable. The earth itself has a tendency, when poked and prodded too much, to fight back. I think we've seen evidence of this before. And perhaps all these Vaesen need is to be left in peace and their mystery and splendor simply experienced, rather than have us try to dissect them.
I can see that, yes, but isn't the best way to, I suppose, observing alone doesn't feel like enough. We can experience them, but don't you want to know more? And not to say that we can't find a way to leave them unbothered, but don't you hunger? There's so much to learn. And you can see it, and you can see it, but you can also feel it. And I think that that's what I want, is to not just witness it, but to be a part of it. Can you understand that?
Gets a little steam out of his glasses. I must say that I concur that merely observing from a distance can be a little unsatisfying, and that should one get the opportunity to experience more fully the full dimensions of the experiences to be had, that one should perhaps endeavor to do so. But Father Plowhead waits us. Perhaps this is something we can discuss at another time. A very, very, very enthralling discussion. Thank you, Doctor.
Absolutely. I would care to continue it sometime. But yes, we should definitely
Yes.
figure this out.
Father Clawhead.
As you both kind of attempt, you had stood up and you had stepped away from the table to have this incredible philosophical, heated romance conversation. You both kind of, there are chairs and stools about their tables and things like that. You both go to walk towards Father Claret at the same time. And as you do, your knuckles brush each other. And in your heads, each of you hears this kind of rush of like a intake of air, and you hear, Albert, my love. And then you hear, you look around. Conversation in the room has been continuing sort of as normal. Doesn't seem to be that anyone else in the room had heard that.
Did you just say something?
No, but you heard it as well?
I believe so.
Huh.
Albert? Is that the word that was mentioned? The name?
That's what I heard.
Takes out his little book. Scribbles it in. Not a name we've encountered already.
It is not.
No. I do believe that we have our proof that something beyond the natural is operating in this place. That was very strange, and I was sort of tenderly my knuckle. Not entirely unpleasant, but well, Father Clawhead.
You see him kind of look up from his book. He's got a pince-nez on the end of his nose, and he's got a pen in his hand, and he goes, yes? Oh.
Father Hewlin.
Yes, Father Hewlin, lovely to see you again. And he offers kind of a gnarled hand out to you to shake.
Yes, absolutely. It was last Yule, was it not? That we encountered each other at the church just up the way here.
Yes, indeed. You stayed for. We had you for a week, I believe. It's lovely to see you.
It was quite a good time. How was your rheumatism?
Oh, fine. Thank you, young man.
Are you warm enough? Would you like us to fetch you something to make you warmer? Would you like something to drink, or would you like to sit nearer the fire, perhaps?
I'm fine. Thank you so very much. Odd to find you down this far, close to Sigtuna. What brings you down here?
Please allow me to introduce my companion, Dr. Falk. This is Father Clarhan.
Oh, pleasure to meet you. He offers a hand to you.
Wonderful, yes. I'll shake your hand.
My friend here, Dr. Falk, is a specialist of a strange sort. He specializes in dreams, you see. He has made it his lifelong work to study the dreams of people and what they might mean. Somewhat along the lines of this fellow from Austria or Germany. What's his name? The psychologist, I believe they call him. In any case, we've come here because we've heard that people have been experiencing strange dreams here, and I was wondering if you perhaps had been experiencing any sort of strange.
My boy, and he clasps your arm and like pulls you into the chair next to you, and he goes,
"Oh,
I have much to tell you. But before we do that, let's cut over to Penny and Officer Kensington."
Dun, dun, dun.
Ta-da, cutscene, Tarantino, bitch. The two of you sat at the table overhearing this very, very out in the open conversation. Like, it is a little bit delightfully sweet and slightly cringy that you were able to hear as much as you were. Both of you just trying to pretend like you're not listening to it while Penny is furiously writing down all of the juicy gossip. You do see that Olaus has left the kind of the area of the conversation that he was having with Sami, and the two of you are there.
Do you think the sickly-looking woman is Sophia, the daughter?
It's quite possible, but I could talk to her or the younger girl. There was a younger girl who ducked behind the bar. I could go speak with them. I feel that perhaps it would be easier to get information from them if I were to approach them. I'm not sure how well they are comfortable with strangers and men in particular. So, just a little chat, woman to woman, might go a long way.
That makes a lot of sense. I will keep watch.
If you would like to talk to the bartender, that might, he, I believe, might be the owner, so maybe he has some further knowledge of what is happening here in his inn.
That is a good point. I will go speak to him and try to get him to open up, but he seems like a hard shell to crack.
If anyone can do it, I have faith in you, Colonel.
Oh, that's so sweet. We'll find out.
Let's start with Penny.
I will go approach the older of the two women.
Yeah, go ahead.
Madam, I'm new here in town, and I would like to make the acquaintance of those here in the inn, fellow travelers or stayers. My name is Penny. Might I inquire as to your name?
No, you may not. I'm just passing through for a hot meal.
All right. How long have you been here? Just for the day to get out of the weather?
Yeah, just for the day to get out of the weather. That's all it is. And you look at her, and she's very sallow. Her cheeks are sunken in. She looks ill, and she's scratching herself. She kind of...
You look just a touch uncomfortable. I wonder if a nice, warm glass of mulled wine would do you some good.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks.
All right, I will go get some for you and some for me, and we might get better acquainted.
Sure. Yeah, all right.
I'll pop up for some mulled wine and whatever hot alcohol there is that I can ply her with.
Sure. You step up to the bar and you see this large looming bartender there just cleaning this glass with a rag. As you know, bartenders in all TTRPGs are perpetually cleaning one glass. And he goes, "What you want?"
Do you have something hot to drink for myself and the woman over there, the guest?
Hey, you want to start a running tab then?
I will... Yes, I would.
You're not going to get any information out of her.
Really?
She's sick as a dog. Coming out of one of them dens of ill repute. You know, kind you go and lay down to forget about your life for a while.
Well, perhaps a little kindness would go a long way.
Sure. Look, you and your friends can have food and lodging for the night. Olaus saw to that, but I don't want no funny business in my inn, you understand?
Of course not. We are
Good.
simply traveling.
Sure. Yeah. We get a lot of you traveling types here, but all four of you coming in looking so finely dressed into our little inn is just a little bit suspect, you know?
I'm certain you see all types come through your doors.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the wine, thank you. That will do for now.
Sure. You let me know when you want your room, eh?
Of course.
Right.
I'll take the wine back to the table. Here, perhaps this will warm you up a
You
little
see
bit.
her grasp it with both hands, and she just drinks it thirstily with both hands.
I will subtly slide my glass over to her side of the table as well.
When she's kind of like halfway done with that, she sees you sliding it. She grabs the other one, like just huddles it close to her and goes, "Thanks."
Of course. You haven't heard anything about strange dreams recently, have you?
No, but I've got a funny feeling, you know? This place is weird. It gives me the collywobbles.
My friend, the priest over there, he had a funny feeling as well, so we're hoping to find the source of it.
Well, basically, as soon as this storm passes, I'm leaving.
I think that might be wise. Do you have somewhere you can go?
Sure, I'll find my way. Look, thanks for the kindness, but I really don't feel like talking.
All right. If you change your mind, I'll be here. And I will slide a coin across the table.
She takes it and she looks at it and she bites it. She puts it into her little bag at her hip. Meanwhile, Officer Kensington.
Yeah, I'll approach the bartender, slash maybe with the proprietor, and yeah, I'll be open for a conversation. I'll be like, "Can I have whiskey, please?"
Sure. Put it on the old ladies tab.
Yes, sure.
Very well, officer. And he pours you like 3 fingers of whiskey. It's not very good, but
So,
it takes the edge off.
okay. So, are you the owner of this here joint?
Yeah, my name's Sammy.
You're the grandson of the original owner, right? I think I heard.
Yeah, Pyrie was his name.
How long have you been in charge?
For a while now, long enough.
Oh, I'm not questioning your work ethic or how you run your business by any means. I just, want to have some context because I hear things have been weird lately. I want to know what your opinion is, your perspective as the owner of the business. I'm sure it's weird stuff isn't great for business.
What do you mean weird stuff? It's a storm. Storms cause leaks.
Well, not the leaks, but I've heard that people have had disturbed sleep while they've been here the last few days.
Well, that's not my fault. I board up the rooms as best I can. It's not my fault that it's cold.
I'm sure you've done more than enough. I'll try to reassure him that his bar and his inn is great.
What do you want about, officer?
I'm not here in any official capacity. It's not I've left the force. It's been a while.
I see. Yet you still stand here in uniform with your shiny boots.
Mm-hmm. And I'm
Now
here
what-
to try and fix a problem that I hear you have.
And what problem is that?
I'm gonna take out the flyer.
And you see him, his eyes go wide, and he snatches it out of your hand and he goes, "That girl's gonna pay. Where the fuck did you get this?"
Our friend, Mr. Clint.
Oh. So Olaus has been distributing these, is that what you're saying?
Just to us to tell us there's something weird going on. Are you
Okay.
saying there's nothing weird going on?
That girl's been distributing them all over. Where did you come from? Uppsala, is that right?
Uppsala, yes,
Mm.
of course.
Right, so she's been doing that. Well, thank you very much for this. And you see him crinkle it up and like shove it into his breast pocket. And he goes, "Is there anything else, officer?"
I'll give a very wide smile and no, that'll be all for today. Thank you.
Good. That's what I thought. Keep that occult shit out of your mouth. And he turns away.
I'm going to try and calmly walk back to the table and make a loud to try and get Penny's attention. So whenever she's ready.
I will sort of look around and see that Kensington is back at the table, and this probably is about when I am leaving this woman's table, so I will head back. Any luck?
Sammy's a real piece of work on this. He's in denial about everything. He's very defensive about it. He was saying that she's distributing these. He's going to have a word with someone. I don't know if that's his daughter, but he seems to think that she's the cause of this, I think, and that I don't know. Told me to keep that occult shit out of my mouth.
Well, let's keep Dr. Falk away from him, I suppose.
That's probably a good idea. Got to check in interference.
I didn't seem to get much out of the woman over there. She says that she's passing through and has a bad feeling about this place. But that's about all that I could get from her. So perhaps Sophia might be more forthcoming.
If we can get to her before our
We
friend.
can hope.
And as you kind of finish your conversation, you see that young woman that you had seen kind of darting behind the bar. She like glances over and checks the room as discreetly as she is able. She glances around and then she goes and makes her way upstairs. And that, my friends, is where we'll take a break.
We have returned. We have returned from our self-imposed exile to the land of the break. During which time we talked about the fact that Victorian flirting is, awkward. But that something you have to do.
One must.
One must. One needs must. One must needs. Well, how does that work?
One needs must.
We also discussed the fact that Caito does a great, what did you call it?
Shitty Cockney
Shitty
bartender.
Cockney bartender accent.
Yeah.
You know? Actor.
Thanks. I did live in London for a while.
London.
Okay. Yeah.
My friends, we are back here at the Black Cat? Which Cat Inn? What is it?
Did you say Wallacat?
No,
As
the
in,
Black Cat or the Witch Cat? It's the Witch Cat Inn. We're back at the Witch Cat Inn, along with our fearless investigators from the society, investigating spoopy things that go bump in the night. The Victorian Great North, I guess, the Victorian Scandinavia. And GM Caito, please take it away and bring us back to the spoopy world that you are creating.
When last we left off, you saw the young girl, Sophia, disappearing up the staircase, and our very own Dr. Falk and Father Hulin have sat down at the table with Father Clarid, as you all have begun to ask about the strange going-ons here at the Witch Cat Inn.
Which cat?
That cat. Scully Francis cat.
Scully Francis. But yes, shall we then interrogate good old Father Clarhead?
I think so.
Yes.
You said you had plenty of things to tell us.
Oh, yes,
Father
yes.
Clarhead.
Where would you like to begin?
Well, it's the second time someone has asked me that today. I will probably venture forth that you might begin at the very beginning.
And then go through to the middle, and once I've come to the end, stop.
Penny would be quite excited by this very structural procedure.
Well, you've come to the Witch Cat due to the strange goings-on, yes.
We've been asked to come in.
Interesting. Well, I can tell you that since the beginning of the year, the guests here have suffered these terrible nightmares. There are various accounts of people dreaming that someone is cutting their throats with a knife, or that they're being buried alive, or that their best friend is actually the devil himself, or that they're on stage and suddenly the other actor in the scene just stabs them with what turns out to be a real knife, and the audience is there applauding as they lay dying. It's rather unsettling. At times I came here to see if there was anything I could do to perform some sort of exorcism, but I have found that my efforts are quite useless.
Are the dreams always on stage?
Not always, no. This idea that, well, some of these dreams are that their throats are being cut, or that they're being stabbed or buried alive. Those things aren't happening on stage, but there is this depiction of a theater. Strange. Now, I've also noticed that the inn itself has deteriorated quite a bit in the last year. The roof leaks, the boards break, the garden is wildly overgrown, despite the fact that our Sammy has worked hard to maintain the inn. It's almost as if the Witch Cat is accursed.
Would you say that... Would you know if there's been anything like a traveling show, perhaps, that has come by the Witch Cat in the past year or so, or...?
Interestingly enough that you should ask that. You see, Sammy's wife, Nora, she had a strong interest in the unknown, and she was quite a talented artist herself. At the start of the year, she thought she saw a strange figure in the night and claimed to hear footsteps. At the same time, she had a dreadful fight with Sammy about inviting actors and singers to the inn. Sammy, you must understand, detests all forms of art. He said no. He rather thinks that it is all about the family business. And now something happened that escalated that fight, and, well, I dare say that Sammy is not and he lowers his voice, not a very kind person.
I shoot a look to the doctor.
Eventually, I believe she had had enough, and she left with a theater troupe. last summer, Sammy had received word that his wife had died of cholera in a sickbed in Karlskrona. Now he's gone and locked the door to Nora's room after she left, and no one has been allowed in there.
And would you say that the strange events began in the wake of this particular event, or?
I certainly think that they may have accelerated it. You see, Sophia shares her mother's interest in this occult, and as well as the arts. But Sammy has forbidden her to do anything other than care for the inn, which she ultimately wants her to take over from him.
I quickly scribbled down a little note, and I'm going to keep an eye on the Colonel and Penny, and if I can catch their eye when they have a moment, I will just sort of signal the little note to pass to them.
As you kind of signal for this note, and they glance over, and they've been sort of making their way, or at least eyeing towards the stairs where Sophia has gone, and you see that Father Claret glances as well and says, Sophia's become very strange since her mother left. Shy and reclusive, talking to herself, losing herself in thought. When she's not working, she retreats to the attic.
So I will scribble down a quick note, and when one of them comes by me, I will slip it to them. The note will say, Sophia into occult, same as Mother Nora, who is dead. Nora's room is locked up. Sophia recluse, hides in attic. I will leave that note.
And as you do, unless Dr. Falk, if there's anything that you wanted to follow up on.
Dr. Falk has been half listening and half just doing like totally erratic visual scans of this space. Doesn't really know what to focus on, knows he should be focusing on the conversation that's happening right in front of him, but there is so much that he wants to know. So as his name is mentioned, he just sort of snaps to, no, I think that's all we need. Thank you.
Excellent. Very well. And he sees you kind of sliding this note over to Officer Kensington and Ms. Hemsk. What do you do?
Yeah, so after I slide the note over to them, I'll say, and what of you, Father? Have you experienced such dreams, or?
I have. I believe that you will recall my penchant for the theatrics. So,
Yes.
I don't find that standing on the stage in my underpants is as scary as other people might, but I must say the dream I also had of being attacked by a fellow scene mate, and incidentally a strange dream about him. I was a much younger man, being picked up off the street by a man slightly older than me. He was very affectionate, but we mustn't dwell on such things.
Excuse me being so forward, Father, but do any of the images or the events in your dreams bring back memory of yours? Could they have been things dredged up from your memory, or are they made up of whole cloth?
I do not think that these belong to me, young man. I believe these are probably the dreams and visions of another. Now, I have attempted my exorcisms as best I can, but I am quite frankly relieved you are here. I do believe your expertise might come in useful.
Doctor, would you mind doing me a favor and giving Father Claret a quick once-over? I just want to make sure that he is hale and doing well.
Yes.
It's like asking a dentist on a plane if there's a doctor on a plane.
He's a doctor, just like
Of the occult.
he's a doctor.
Yes, I will do just that. He'll sort of, he'll take out like a notebook that he has, and anyone who's standing would be able to see that there are like drawings in it of like weird trees and spooky things. And he flips to a different page, and he'll look through and say, okay, let me just take a look, I suppose. Could you touch your finger to the tip of your nose for me? Just see how... Yes. And can you follow my finger with your eyes? Yes? Okay. Ooh, interesting. And what is the most pervasive symptom, would you say?
Oh, well, my hands hurt when it rains.
I see. Just a moment, and he'll like flip through his book. His eyes get wide and like a little bit panicked. I think you're going to be just fine. It seems that this is nothing more than a touch of arthritis, rheumatism. I can't exactly say that it will get better, but perhaps if it stops raining, you'll feel a touch of relief. I'd recommend keeping your hands either very cold or very warm, or maybe go from very cold to very warm. Just do what feels right, you know?
Right, yes.
I'm regretting my mission.
And as all of this is going on, Penny and Officer Kensington, having received the note, are kind of standing by the foot of the stairs. What do the two of you do?
Yeah, I'll offer to read. I have started reading as I opened it up, and then I slide it in front of Penny, and I continue to read because I'm a slow reader. Wow, this is messed up.
I think we need to speak to Sophia.
I think she's the crux of this.
I wonder if we should ask for our rooms or create a distraction so that one of us can slip up unnoticed. I wonder how he might feel about Sammy, that is, feel about us questioning his daughter. And I really would like a peek in Nora's room. So I'm not certain how to go about that, but do you have any ideas?
I suppose we could... Oh, yeah, I wonder if the family quarters are with the dormitory, but she's in the attic, so as long as we can get to the attic, let's grab our keys, and it's not suspicious if we go upstairs.
Wonderful. Go back over to Sammy. I believe that we are ready to see our rooms now.
Good. And he turns around and he opens a cabinet and pulls out a couple sets of keys, and he slams the thing shut and he drops them into your hand and he goes, rooms 4, 5, and 6. We're a little bit full up, so a couple of years might have to double bunk.
That shouldn't be a problem.
Very well. Make your way up the stairs.
Thank you so much.
First room and second room are off limits. Understand?
Of course.
Good.
Colonel?
All right, let's go. Start heading up there. As we walk away, I'll ask Penny, should we go into room 1 and 2? Should we leave that for later? Because I'm going in there just to fuck with that guy.
is entirely up to you. If you want to do that first, or you could poke around and I could try and find the attic.
Okay, we'll split up. Split up. Sounds good.
I think if they're about to head up, if I feel we've cleared the conversation with the good father, that I think we might join them and make it a bit more efficient. Storyteller?
Yes.
Absolutely.
We will rejoin them. I will thank Father Claren and promise to stop by and give him some news on whatever we discover here and tell him to be careful. And as we're walking away, I'll look at the doctor like, I was simply hoping you might prescribing something to sleep. I wasn't expecting you to whatever pantomime that was. I thought you might just prescribe him something to sleep.
You know I'm not a medical doctor, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know that, but
I am not a medical doctor.
You're not a medical doctor?
No. Definitely not. I am a scholar of the occult.
Well, that explains
Yes.
certain things.
Like what? Doesn't matter.
Yes.
Just
Yes. Well, that's awkward. Very well. My friends, have you secured lodging for the night for the good doctor and the rest of us?
We have, yes. They are a little short on rooms, and I must say that as a woman, I can't be in a room with...
Don't worry
it would
about
be-
this, Penny. Alexander and I are old friends.
Mhm.
No.
I don't
think-
mind sleeping on the floor either. It's
well,
and
I
Penny,
was-
you definitely should have your own.
How many rooms do we have?
You
We
have 3.
3. I was going to suggest that Alexander also gets his own room. He tends to snore. He and I go way back, and we were in adjoining rooms in Paris many years ago, and he does snore a little bit. So perhaps, Per, if you and the good doctor wouldn't mind, I think we all might get the best sleep that way.
A little snoring's never bothered me. You just, put a little cotton in your ears and nothing wrong there.
Surely can't be
If that's
that bad.
if you feel that that's best for everyone. Yes, very well. Then let us. Yes. Thank you, Aaron. My laundry for the raid. We appreciate you.
You make your way upstairs. I know there was conversations about possibly stopping into your rooms, possibly checking on the 2 locked rooms. What would you like to do?
I think maybe we'll kind of make a show of going to our rooms at first. Just so that, if anyone's kind of keeping an eye on us. But then we'll say, like, okay, in 15 minutes we reconvene.
We were told that rooms 1 and 2 are off limits. I'm assuming that at least one of them is Nora's room.
Yes, and apparently the young lady likes to hide out in the attic.
I believe that's where she is now.
My suggestion then would be the first 2 rooms. Do we know whose is whose?
You do not.
And perhaps one of us could keep an eye out at the top of the stairs for any possible interlopers, and the rest of us could take a quick look. If we find Nora's room, we could take a look inside. Much of the information we've gathered so far about the nature of the spirit is that there might be some element of vengeance attached to it, and I think that perhaps the one person we've heard might be aggrieved the most would be either Nora or Sammy himself, and so I think it would behoove us to investigate fully those particular avenues before moving on.
Dr. Falk, is there also, what are some Vaesen that really stick to a family, because this seems to be all within the family. Something that goes into their dreams, and I don't know.
That is a great question. Caito, can I make a roll to see if I know this stuff?
Yes. Sorry, specifically you are asking for...
If this is... if there are Vaesen that sort of attach themselves to families, to see if this is sort of like a familial issue.
Sure. Let's have you make a learning and logic roll.
Learning and logic, and I'm going to use one of my wonderfully gifted toofs to add to the mix. 1 success.
1 success. That would be enough to know that you do know that the likelihood that there are Vaesen out there that could attach themselves to families or kind of have a lineage is possible, but that you're not entirely sure that this is the circumstance at the moment. You're not ruling it out, but it's low on your differential.
Yeah. I'll relay that to Officer Kensington. So it's worth having, in our minds, but I don't imagine it would be something that we should be overly concerned about.
Sounds good to me. Who wants to break into these rooms?
Oh, I most definitely do.
Perhaps I can serve as lookout then. You all seem to be more of the larcenous variety than I am. I will stand by at the top of the stairs, and if anyone is coming, I will begin reciting the Lord's Prayer.
So I would need someone to, you can either attempt to lockpick, or you can do it by force. So a lockpick would be a stealth plus precision, force would be your force plus physique.
Dr. Falk is tricksy. He might be able to unlock a door.
Because we all know he's not a real doctor.
I did say it's low on his differential, and then I paused and I was like, I just spoke to someone who's not a medical doctor.
He's not a medical doctor, but a doctor in some respect. But I mean, he could give it a try, and maybe if that's not enough, he can see if Kensington can bust the door down with a boot.
No, Father Yulan's a little disappointed.
Why? Huh? No. Shouldn't
Are you
be.
talking about yourself in the third person again? That's weird.
Don't get your cassock in a twist.
All right, so we've got, you said precision and stealth?
Yeah, it should be 9d6 for you.
Get that in there. Ooh, okay. 9, only 1 success.
Hey, you only needed 1. You have enough of a kind of like, if anyone were listening downstairs, they're hearing the sound of footsteps overhead as you all kind of, and the sound of opening doors, and in kind of the fray of that, you very deftly just open the door. Now, so you went to lockpick. Are you doing room 1 or room 2 that you've done this on?
I would do room number 2.
Excellent. As you do, you open up into this relatively spare room. Spare as in not densely furnished, not as in spare as in extra. And you notice that there is a collection of cobwebs and dust over things. There are drape cloths kind of thrown over bits of furniture. It looks as though this room has not been used in at least a year.
Well, this seems rather boring, but if either of you want to take a look around.
Just saying that you would remember that Nora's been gone for a while.
Yeah.
I would like to take a quick peek. Are there any like drawers or things that I could rifle through?
Sure, as you kind of pull open some drawers, disturbing the dust, and there's a little bit of a as you do this. You're seeing there's some papers, a couple plays, kind of very tattered looking plays as if they've been read several times. You're not finding anything particularly of interest until you go to the shelf and you find, as you're kind of going through and seeing this collection of classic theater and various pieces of literature, you find a pretty nondescript looking journal. Oh, you are muted. The Vaesen has your voice.
I would like to rifle through the journal.
Sure. As you flip through it, you see that there is this very nice, kind of clean, cursive handwriting. And you're finding entries from this year. It being about the equivalent of October in this land you're in, and you're seeing dates from January. And you start to read. I saw it again last night as I was on my way to empty the widower Rucker's chamber pot. The candle in my hand went out, and I standing still in the dark corridor on the second floor, I could hear the floorboards move. Someone was walking toward me. I whispered my husband's name, and an unknown voice responded with a word I couldn't understand. The hairs on my arms stood up, and the blood throbbed in my veins. Finally, I dropped the pot and ran downstairs. My footsteps woke several of the guests. I had spent more than 1 hour on my knees scrubbing the stench of Rucker's excrement off the floorboards. Sami was angry. I didn't tell him I had seen a ghost. It would have added fuel to the fire. You see a date from January 17th, 2 days later. Do I really have to have myself to blame? I know what I did to Sami, but that was almost 20 years ago. He gets so different when he's angry, and I go mute with fear whilst he demands answers. Perhaps I should know better than to upset him. All I did was suggest that the sudden falling apart of the inn might have an occult cause. I definitely shouldn't have mentioned the ghost. Now I won't be able to show myself to the guests for a week. I fear Sophia. I fear for Sophia. She is so much like me, and I'd like to tell her everything, but I'm afraid of what Sami would say. He wants to eradicate all things artistic and sublime from his daughter's body. January 31st. I mentioned my nightmare to Sophia, and it turns out she's been having the same dreams. A man being killed, the murderer sneaking up behind him and cutting his throat with a knife. The body is buried in unconsecrated ground, and suddenly it is my body in that grave. I have been buried alive, and I can't get out. All I want is revenge or peace in death. I wake with a scream. The fourth time I saw him, I understood what he was whispering. This is from February 7th. It was not a word, but a name. Pyri. After spending several days pondering the matter, to Sami's great annoyance, I remembered where I had heard that name. Sami's grandfather, who used to run this inn, was called Pyri Harjula. There are lots of old letters in the attic. Among them, I find a stack of messages all signed with Pyri's name, written in code and addressed to someone in Uppsala. The code was easily deciphered, and now I've shut myself away in my room all morning reading Pyri's love letters. Sami is furious that I've neglected my duties. He's banging the kitchen walls and throwing saucepans against the floor. The poor cook. February 8th. I now know who the dead man is. Pyri writes of his guilt and his feelings of remorse over a murder he committed. He killed a man named Oscar Hjort by slitting his throat. This happened during a meeting with 3 people from Uppsala. One of them was named Albert. Oscar was unwilling to cooperate, but what he was meant to do, I am unsure of. They buried his body somewhere in our garden. Pyri says that instead of having a priest consecrate the ground, they desecrated his body with magic. He fears that he has damned the inn and condemned himself to hell. March 1st. Sophia has been quiet and withdrawn for some time now. I sat down to talk with her, and she told me of her dreams of setting up a theater. She wants to put on shows here at the Witch Cat. I think it's a brilliant idea. I have sent an invitation to the Troll Dreams Theater Troupe. mostly to attract customers, but also to inspire Sophia. They will pass through here in early April. This time I won't let Sammy get in the way. March 19th. Sammy saw this letter from the theater director. As I am writing this, I have hidden the stable like a naughty child. I lost feeling in the fingers of my left hand. They are still numb. I am so scared. April 3rd. If I stay here, he'll kill me. Tonight, I am packing my things and I'm taking Kyrie's letters with me. I'll show them to Sophia when I come for her. Perhaps we will return to the Witch Cat one day when Sami has died or comes to his senses. Then we can go looking for ghosts together. Let me have you, my dear Penny Himsk, make a learning roll for me.
My learning is low, so I'm going to use a troll tooth.
Use a tooth. Thank you for the toofs, friends.
We love good toofs.
Love a tooth.
1 success.
1 success. After having read through this and having done, in terms of your, what did you do in terms of preparation for this event, for getting here?
I talked to some people in the society about gossipy things and just like worked my connections to try and get information through kind of the gossip chain.
Sure. You, through that gossip chain and through talking to members of the society, you leveraging connection more than anything, this kind of modicum of fame that you have, you spoke to one member of the society who mentioned a recent encounter that they had had with a revenant. And you get the sense that perhaps after reading this journal that this must be the work of a revenant. That is a haunted spirit that is filled with hate and rage and revenge for having been wronged in its life. You know that they are often invisible, which is very often the case with Vaesen, so it doesn't come as a surprise. But that when it is seen, that it takes the shape of a very monstrous being with long, jagged teeth and claws and kind of this massive entity.
I'm going to hand the journal to Kensington. It seems as if your friend Sami is a man with a bit of a temper.
As Kensington's reading, he's just getting more and more tense. His breathing starts to get heavy and labored. Take this away from me. I'll hand it back. Are you saying I should ask him some more questions?
I wonder if we should take care in our investigation, lest our actions bring Sophia to some harm.
Always. Okay.
Dr. Falk, what do you know about Revenant?
I shouldn't want to come across one.
I believe that's what we're dealing with.
Also, for you,
makes sense.
You are in Nora's room, which it does have several bookshelves full of books. So feel free to do with that what you will.
I will read books.
What are you looking for?
I think, so after opening the door and seeing that there was no one in here, he was a little bummed. He was hoping to find a monster immediately behind the door. That would have been a real thrill. But as Penny was reading the journal, he sort of looked around the room a bit, sees this bookshelf, and I think that he would look for any books that are terribly weathered or if since it's been a while, if anything seems less dusty than the rest, things like that, just anything that might be out of place.
You do find a large, there's a wide array of books in here, and you do find a large number of occult books.
Exciting.
Probably much to the chagrin of Sami. And you find an older tome and pull it out. It is a first edition copy of Ghosts, Ghouls, and Spirits of Scandinavia, which is a book that you have been wanting to get your hands on for quite some time. You know that there is a copy in the library at Uppsala, and it takes all of your willpower not to just collect it and have it accidentally slip into your bag. Thumbing through it, you do find a section about revenants. This book it being a first edition, there are passages of it that appear to be handwritten as if the plate itself had been kind of copied over rather than, the typeface that you were used to with the other occult books that you find. But you do know, upon further research, you've heard of revenants, you've talked to people about revenants, you've not encountered one yourself. But with the information from this book, you find that revenants must find peace in order to be banished. And you also know that the body must be buried on hallowed ground.
Wonderful. If it is indeed a revenant that we are working with here, we have to maybe do a bit of therapy, I suppose. Typically, they need to feel better before they're able to rest. So we would have to bury it in consecrated grounds. It sort of peeks out to see if the good father is out there. But we also have to, allow for some unfinished business to be wrapped up. So I guess the best thing we can do is find this revenant and help it.
Looks like we just reached our follower goal of 600 people.
Woo!
So thank you
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. We're very, very excited. 600 followers in the first year, and it's not even the end of the year yet. I'm pretty excited.
Woo-hoo!
Thank you so much.
I'm waiting for
Thank
us to
you
get
so
to
much.
666. It's
Yeah.
gonna be great.
Then when that's done, we shut the channel down.
No. That's how I almost shut down my Twitter.
Oh no, I don't know who the number 600 was, but thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate everyone here and the follows and the raids and all that. Thank you, Hooli, for the raid. I don't know if it was Hooli herself, but thank you very much. We appreciate you all. You're all wonderful.
Hey, Hooli. Hey, Hooli.
Yeah, so what's going on?
I think we're all aligned with the Revenant, so
I'm outside. Yeah, I'm outside. Keeping an eye out on.
You're keeping watch? Sure. Let me have Per, Father Hulin.
You're in big trouble, young man.
Let me have you make an empathy and observation roll, please.
I'm just part of, heroes and hooligans.
Wow.
You want me to make what was the test you wanted? Sorry.
I would like for you to make an observation and empathy roll, please.
Oh, that's excellent. I happen to be quite good at this. So 5 plus 3. And 2 6s.
2 6s. Excellent. As you kind of hear, you've got you've got one ear feeding into the room here, and you're kind of keeping another ear out. And as you're keeping keeping watch here, you're starting to hear footsteps on the stairs.
I will quickly take a look at who's coming up.
They're kind of, it's not just a straight shot of stairs, so they're on that first step getting to the landing. And you all are at the top of the stairs. There's a long corridor, and you are at the second door there. So anyone turning the corner is going to see you all out in front of that first room.
So I whip out the Bible, I open it up, and I start just reciting one of the prayers like I'm practicing it or something, maybe for later or something like that. So I'm just going to kind of walk in at the top of the stairs. I'm trying to keep an eye on who's coming, and I will be like, perhaps this one will do. And I start reciting this prayer. The Lord said to keep an watchful eye upon those who approach in the night. Shibboleth, you may ask, Shibboleth, and they will answer Shibboleth.
And you hear the footsteps coming up the stairs. He goes, "That's enough there, Father. We don't need any more of your religious nonsense here."
Who is it?
What does it sound like?
Sammy.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I heard him sort of start proclaiming, I will gesture to the other two that we need to get out.
And I'll be like, my good sir, I'm sorry, I'm simply trying to find the perfect prayers to recite. I have been asked to read a mass 2 days hence, and you don't seem to be of the very. What's the word I'm looking for? Are you not a fellow Christian, sir?
Give me a manipulation and empathy roll, please.
Well, something else I'm pretty good at. I'm a priest. I am going to use one of my troll tooths, generously donated. I will use one of the ones that was generously donated earlier. I'll use my hail that I got from Raven Sarah earlier. Color me double sixes. No devil's luck.
As he pauses, he goes, "No, I'm not religious. I will put you up for the evening, but I really would appreciate it if you keep that gobbledygook to yourself." And while this conversation has happened, he has countered enough that his back is now to that door. I would like for the three of you who are still in there to make stealth rolls to see if you can get out without him noticing.
Don't fuck it up, King. If you fuck it up, I need the Colonel to just jump on Sammy and start wailing.
So stealth plus precision.
That is 1-6.
1-6.
Also 1-6.
Excellent.
1-6.
Ooh, by the skin of your teeth as you all just like slide out and just like you see Dr. Falk is the last one and he just pulls the door closed and you hear it just barely, just as Pear is kind of his volume is increasing as he is reading a passage, you know.
God says, "I am near, I am almost upon you, I am visiting you now, I will enter you like the Holy Spirit."
And you see Sami make that face. And he goes, "Right, you're having a hard time finding your room, Father."
No,
it's right over here.
I found that the hallway offers a better sounding chamber for my voice than the room.
Right, well, I've got other guests here, so if you would be so kind.
Oh,
your room's
absolutely.
right over there.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. God be with you.
And also with you. And you see him open the door to the first room there, and he slams it, and you hear the door latch. Ooh, close call, y'all. Damn. That was going to be real gnarly otherwise.
That's where we find out Sammy's a werewolf.
Ow.
I will make my way to the room where I assume everybody else has congregated.
Uh-huh.
Oh my. I thought for sure we were done for. Thank God for the word of the Lord once more. Coming to our rescue and being our shield and our shelter in the time of need, a safe harbor, as it were.
And as you come into this room, you see the other three are in there, and you walked in, and sitting in the corner of the room is a young girl. Her hands kind of like tucked between her knees, her shoulders up to her ears, and she goes, "Hello."
Hello there.
Oh my.
Are you Sophia?
Yeah, that's me.
It's very nice to meet you. My name is Penny. These are my companions, Dr. Falk, Officer Kensington, and, of course, Father Pear, Hewlin.
It's nice to meet you all.
My pleasure.
Are you quite all right? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I wonder what you might tell us about the things that have been going on in this inn recently.
Well, things have been a bit strange, a bit weird.
Like how?
Go ahead and make an empathy roll for me, Penny.
Two successes.
2 successes. This girl's probably about 16. She's, you can see that her, her hands are a bit rubbed raw. She works a lot. That is her whole purpose of living. Her elbows are a little bit kind of chafed, and she's got this dirty apron on. You can tell that she's confused. She is afraid of her father, and she's very much missing her mother.
Well, things got a bit weird when Mum left. Well, even before that. You see, my mum and I, we really liked the arts and ghost stories. God, we loved to share ghost stories as much as we could, and Dad hates all that. I know it's...
And she gets up and closes the door, and she goes,
I know it's because, well, my mum, a long time ago before I was born, she cheated on my dad with an actor before they got married, and I think that he's got kind of a vendetta against the arts after that. I know Mum was collecting some notes about the ghost that we think is here. She made these notes in her journal. I think she thought that the house was haunted by one of my dad's relatives, maybe an uncle or grandfather. The ghost started showing up at the beginning of the year.
Also retconning something, I said that it looked as though the room had not been touched in a year. It's been about 6 months, so.
But since all of that started, I've been having these strange dreams. In them, I'm a man. I'm a man in a play, and I'm doing this scene that I'm begging on the streets, and well, it gets darker from there. But yeah, it's just the same recurring dream. I think others have been having some weird dreams similarly too.
Do you recall seeing anything in one of these dreams that might lead you to believe that the man whose point of view you are taken during these dreams might perhaps be the man your mother had an affair with?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's the same man. I really don't. I think my mum is thrilled by the arts. I think if she had her way, she would have been an actor herself and gone off to Uppsala or some such, or Paris. She'd always talked about going to Paris at the Palais Royal. But I don't think that she ever would have. No, I'm not the man that she had an affair with.
That where we were in Penny in Paris at the Palais Royal?
Yes.
Does hearing that spark anything? Any sort of...
It does, hearing the Palais Royal. You specifically recall that the production that you saw at which you met, if I'm recalling correctly in terms of the relationship, was a shadow theater production, which you do know for a fact. I believe Officer Kensington has some knowledge in regards to shadow theater and its origins and sort of these sensational nature of it as it came to Paris.
I'll say, didn't we see something at the Royal? And was it some sort of shadow theater?
I believe you're correct. Yes.
A strange coincidence.
Indeed. I remember it being wonderful.
You notice that as you're having this conversation that Sophia's kind of blushing and looking at the ground a little bit.
Can I make some sort of roll just as someone who's, well versed in kind of picking up on people's body language and sort of what they're hiding and or saying or not saying, and just to kind of try to get a read on her and what
Sure.
might be causing the situation, like an empathy roll or something?
Yeah, I'm thinking empathy and observation, probably.
There'll be 2 6s.
2 6s.
A whole bunch of ones. Thank God they don't cancel successes.
Yes. The energy she's giving is shy, like she wants to ask a question.
Sophia,
Yeah.
is there something you'd like to know?
Well, I know you all are here to help find out what's been going on. But you see, and she reaches into like the pocket of her apron and she unfurls that flyer. I've been working on a play, and I wondered if maybe you all would maybe be an audience. If I could take you to what I've built and maybe show you.
Look at my friends.
You're the one who has been sending these flyers?
Yeah, that's me. I just didn't want my dad to know.
Of course. I, for one, would love to see what you've put together and perhaps help consult on a script or whatever aid I can assist you with.
Oh, Miss Penny, that would be great. I'd love that.
Yes, I think perhaps. And where would this performance take place?
Well, it's in the attic, but we have to be really quiet because we can't let my father know.
Is this something that we should wait till nightfall?
By now, with the trip that you've taken, with all of the interrogating that you've done, it is past nightfall at this point.
Will you come? I think my dad's gone in for the night.
Is he in the first room? Is that his room?
Yeah, that's his room. But to get to the attic, it's just at the end of the hall. There's a trap you can pull the string. Here, you monster.
I have 2 cats on my desk right now. Oh boy.
Well, I suppose it wouldn't hurt any to take a look at this shadow play, since it is what brought us here in the first place.
That'd be nice. I'm excited. It's my first time writing a play, but I think you really enjoy it.
Before we go, may I ask you one more question?
Yes, Father.
The garden, your parents have a garden somewhere.
Yeah, it's out back. It's just next to the root cellar.
Behind here, very well. Thank you.
Of course. Happy to show it to you later. Bad luck to go out in a storm, though, I imagine.
Yes, this was for my own curiosity. Shall we then?
Yeah, that'd be great.
You all slip out into the hallway, Sophia leading, and she pauses at the door and closes it very quietly. And she waves you on wordlessly, and she pulls the string to the trap going up the stairs. And it unfurls, and before you, a set of stairs as you make your way up into the attic space. You see before you, there's the trapdoor, and then up against the back wall, you see that there's this rather large constructed shadow theater in front of you. It's all mechanized. It looks familiar to Penny and to Perhulin, and I believe to Officer Kensington, who was also at that production. As it unfolds before you, let me have any player who would like to could make a learning or investigation check for me.
So I'll spend a... Oops.
You can spend a tooth. I will also grant you an additional D6 on this because you have seen a theater production.
Oh, excellent.
And this a shadow theater.
1 success with investigation.
Great.
I got 2 successes with investigation, but what I want to do is I want to spend the second one to kick on my 6th sense, which means you can spend extra success to learn if Vaesen have been in the area, gain more or less big impressions of what kind of Vaesen is, and find out what magic is made.
Yes, put a pin in that for just a second.
Pin is pretty.
So, this attic is kind of littered with like trunks and boxes and books and things like that that have been pushed into a corner, and you're seeing this large theater and with like sets of chairs that have been set up. Like, it's clear that she has really put together a production. She wasn't joking when she sent out the flyer that the show would be commencing shortly. She's gotten this really, really prepared, and you see that the theater consists of lanterns and these paper figures on sticks and these cloth screens that can be kind of changed out and replaced with different backgrounds as you move it, and everything's connected on these rails and these clockwork mechanisms, so things can kind of shift in and out of the scenes. And as she's kind of setting up for it, she's like, I think you're really gonna like it. The idea for this, I had it come to me in a dream. It was kind of bizarre. I never thought I could do something like this, but I'm really proud of it. So yeah, you could take your seats, and we'll get started in just a moment. And you notice that the light. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, go ahead, no, finish, and I'll ask her a question after.
The light in this room is this kind of ghostly blue, this kind of light blue. And upon further investigation, both you and Penny see that all of these pieces, this is like master level construction. This is comparable to what you saw at the Palais Royal. This would take years to set up, and it would require a master puppeteer's skill set. You also notice that each of the dolls are wearing fashionable clothing on the continent for the late 18th century. You were saying Bleakseason.
That was going to be my question. I was going to ask her, did you build all this?
I did. It's taken me a while, but I'm really quite pleased with it.
Where did you learn to build these things? They're quite intricate and very beautiful. It is very well done. But where did you learn to do this?
I don't know. My mum always said that I could do anything that I set my heart to. So I think I've done it.
I think you have.
Thanks. Well, go on then, you can have a seat.
As I take a seat, I want to do something. I would like to reach out and put a hand on the Colonel's shoulder. And I will say, my dear Colonel, I know you are a man of the physical world and a man of martial temperament, but should anything untoward happen, and we've discussed the possibility of a revenant or something like that, you would be our one line of defense, and in such a case, may God be at your side as you serve as our bulwark. And I will use my power of blessing, where once per session I can bless an object or another player character, and that person gets the blessed advantage, which will allow you to add 2 dice to one roll of your choice the rest of the session.
I think there's a sincerity that I don't think Kensington was expecting. He's like, "Thank you, Father. Thank you. I will try to protect you and the girl and all the others."
With God by your side, you cannot fail us.
What is Dr. Falk doing at this time, too?
Dr. Falk is not a patron of the arts, typically. He is curious because there have been dreams about, this scenario, and so that interests him. But he has been just sort of looking through the attic, not flipping the place, but he's been sort of, just taking note of what everything looks like here. He is not quite suspicious, but the enthusiasm for sharing this play, given that it, has shown up in people's dreams and it's been a terror, he's a little bit wary of what's happening. But he's just looking and listening right now.
Excellent. And as you sit down, preparing yourselves for this play put on by this young woman, you see her dip behind one of the screens. And the lights kind of dim this ghostly blue, and you see illuminated from behind the screen, this shadow puppet scene begins to unfold. And you hear her speaking. "A young man wanders through Europe, seeing things few people are fortunate enough to witness. He dances with queens and visits Versailles and the Palais Royal. There, people perform his plays and praise him, and life dances along like a dream. But then the People's Revolution sweeps the land, with grenades and fire, and those who are playing and singing end up dead by the side of the road." And you notice that the pitch of her voice has changed. "The young man flees the song of the guillotine. Our hero returns home to a city in the north. He walks through its gates without shoes, poor and mute. The house where he was born is burnt to ashes, and his family is missing. He kneels by the side of the road, begging for coin, and no one knows that his name was once sung in the palaces of Europe. Suddenly, he sees things no one else does. Creatures creeping, flying, crawling, all of them invisible as they reveal themselves to him. And when he points them out to others, he's mocked and beaten. A man picks him up from the street and has him bathed and clothed. The man's name is Albert, and his mansion is a place of love and song. Our young hero performs his plays and sings to him for days and nights, and they eat fruit and drink wine." And you're seeing all of these scenes passing as they shift and transform, and it seems almost impossible that one person could operate such a magnificent array of visuals. Albert introduces his friends. In the young man's dreams, they are all dancing together. But the dreams lie. It was you. You brought me here. You asked me to sit down and talk. We spoke of the future of the world.
I have the right to refuse. You said so and smiled, and then you butchered me like a pig one hangs from the ceiling. You buried my body in unholy ground without priest or consecration. Now, dreams are all I have left. I gaze out over the audience at the Palais Royal. I dance with a princess. I eat cake. I look up into your eyes, Albert, and I let you take my dirty hand. You summon me to Pyre's Inn. You make me a villainous proposition, and I decline. You cut me up. I scream, not wanting to die. At last, you're back. Welcome. And as soon as you hear that last line, you feel the entire room shake. It is freezing in here. The lights extinguish, and before you rises this massive, sweeping figure with long, gnarled claws and these sharp teeth bearing down on you, these sightless eyes staring out from this long, cloaked hood. It's towering 10, 12, 15 feet above you. You look over to Sophia, who's gone slack, her neck back, her mouth wide open, impossibly wide, as you're hearing this narrative that has been echoing out of her. I need everybody to make a fear test.
So for the fear test, my friends, because we have friends. So for the fear test, you would roll your logic or empathy, whichever one you prefer. Just that. But then you get to add a number of d6 equal to the number of friends you have in a room, up to 3.
Wonderful.
And additionally, your goal is 2 successes.
Yeah.
So you need 2 6s.
So you can, by the way, Kay, you could roll that extra 2 points that I gave you earlier. You could roll it for this if you wanted. I'm going to roll empathy 3.
I'm going to use one of the advantages, or the toofs.
I'm also going to roll the toofs.
I only got 1 success.
Ooh, devil's luck, finally, after all
I
this time.
also got devil's luck.
Can I roll some more toofs?
Can we roll some more too? I'll allow it.
Sure, it's your game.
Shit, well then hang on.
Yeah, you can roll some more tubes.
Just the one.
Just the one?
I just have the 1 success. Rip.
As all of this is happening, you're hearing this cacophony, this rushing, swirling wind, this echoing, horrifying voice. You're seeing the visual of this young girl completely in out of control of her own body. And the lights extinguish. You see this creature rising before you. Dr. Falk and the officer Kensington standing there, petrified, frozen in fear, unable to move. As the other 2 are, you're free to move about the cabin. However, you do look over and see your compatriots are stricken by fear. So for the doctor and the officer, your body refuses to move. You are completely immobile. You cannot talk or perform any actions whatsoever. You all stand there. I will give an opportunity to Penny and to the father to take one little action here.
Shall we look at the map?
We can,
It
won't matter.
I'm mostly. Oh, thanks.
I should have told you it won't matter.
I'm mostly interested in where is this figure in relations to us and the fucking door.
Yeah, let's absolutely go ahead and pull up that map in that case then. We'll fix it in post. We'll cut that out for the VOD.
All right. So we have our intrepid adventurers. They're a bit big. I'll small on them in a sec.
I need to.
That's us. I assume we were kind of sitting, maybe.
Yes, closer to the theater.
There's only 3 chairs, so I will say that I was standing next to.
Sure.
Maybe.
I don't see anything right now. If it is
On the map, you might need to refresh. Sophia,
Also-
I'm assuming, is behind me.
For whatever reason, I cannot open Alder right now, of course. And will you be sharing the map with our lovely audience? Is that
Yep.
a thing that happens? Cool. I cannot open Owlbear at this moment, unfortunately. It's not letting me. But yes, that is where you are in space. The trapdoor is there behind you, where that ring is.
Yep.
I will say that that Penny and Perhulin will have an ability to make an action if you would like. The other two cannot.
I would like to address this being.
Mm-hmm.
I am not certain if you know me, but I am a rather famous author. And I could share your story with the world. But you must let them go.
And you see the figure kind of get down to eye level with you and goes, "There will be no reasoning here. None whatsoever." And it pulls back. Perhulin.
I think what Per is going to do is he's going to take out his holy symbol. I have a power called Holy Symbol. You have a religious item that allows you to use inspiration to attack Vaesen in close combat, dealing 1 damage, but I don't want to attack it and deal damage. I just want to kind of step forward in front with the item held up, and we'll say that it's it's like some sort of intricately carved rosary with like a beautiful cross in front of it. And I want to hold it up, and I don't want to be like attacking him and kind of a thing. I want to hold it up and say, whatever crimes you have committed, whatever horrors you have visited on people around you, the Lord forgives. The Lord offers shelter to those who have been wronged. The Lord gives help to the weak and those in need. If you promise, if you refrain from hurting those innocents, such as ourselves, who are only attempting to help you, we may be able, with the help of the Lord, to find where you have been interred, and to make sure you receive a proper burial that would give you the rest that you so require, desire.
And you see it. If it could stare at you, it would be staring at you, and you hear it go. No. It's not gonna work, holy man. And you see it pull back. The two, Dr. Falk and Officer Kensington, standing there stricken as it rears up to its full height. The lights fully extinguished. There's a gust of wind, and you feel the Revenant pass through your body and fly down the trapdoor. You hear it close with a slam. As it happens, you see Sophia crumple to the ground, and that, my friend, is where we are going to leave it tonight.